Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, I've just got off the phone with Leslie Roberts, aka Merlin. We've just had a chat, and she's been explaining about the process of putting the data in, the evidence in, and why it was rejected, and who was saying what to whom about how to reject it. And we had a little discussion about that, and then she's also sort of said about why the process seems to be taking so long, and why, of course, they don't really want to have an inquiry. So we're going to play this for you now. Just go through and see what you think. And it would be absolutely brilliant if once you've finished watching that, you hit the like button, but also leave a comment, because it just goes to show how people care. And if you are supportive of Leslie, please give her a message of support. It helps her a lot, I know, with sort of the struggles that she's going through. It's been a long, hard job for her, and I want her to know that we're all behind her. So anyway, I shall go in, and here's the video, and I'll speak to you again at the back end of it. Thanks. So, right, Leslie, hi. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the COVID inquiry evidence that you have submitted. You submitted this last year, didn't you?
Yes.
Right. Can you give me the background on that then, on the submission, and what they were looking for, and how you went about to submitting it?
Well, what actually happened was I had raised the internal grievances, the complaints out with the internal process, with various different organisations such as the Health and Safety Executive, which I'll go into at a later stage regarding RIDOR, and all the kind of downgrading that was going on there. What I did was I put that all together in a readable statement of about 100 and odd pages. I think it was 108 pages, and submitted it to the COVID inquiry last year. So I then at the same time had submitted a document regarding my mother, because a lot of the things that I was highlighting as the equality rate was happening to my own mother, such as DNA CPR without her knowledge, such as constant falls in the hospital without process being followed regarding RIDOR recording and everything else. So the two of them kind of tied in together.
Mm-hmm.
So I submitted them at the same time, and I was then sent back a further document advising me that I should then apply for core participant status. So again, that was another 3 days constant of work, submitting all this evidence into a much smaller file to send off to the inquiry. However, knowing that I was the only rep in GGC, perhaps Scotland, to raise 22 grievances which surrounded a catalogue of failures, masks, breaching GDPR, FOI failures, subject access failures. I mean, it was absolutely horrific failures, which was creating death traps for both patients and staff. So I then put that in, and I was rejected for core participant status. So at that point,
did they give you a reason why you were rejected?
They said that at that point they were only accepting submissions for people who were within groups. However, my argument to that was, but I was the health and safety, I was the equality and diversity rep on site, and for board-wide for board-wide for GGC. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I was the leader, in essence, of the members. I was their representative. So therefore, that should have been seen as being a group. However, they did not allow me to get
Yeah. So they basically tried to get rid of you by sort of denying you access at that point. Yeah. Yes, anyway, sorry. Well, please carry on with where you were though.
Well, basically, that was what happened. So at that point, I was raising many issues. You can hear the seagulls
here. I can hear the seagulls, yes.
At that point,
with a light Scottish lilt.
At that point, I was raising issue about whether the chair, Lord Brailsford, was actually competent to do an absolute inquiry, because where was his competence if he could look at someone who was a registered nurse, an infection link control nurse, as well as workplace rep, equality and diversity, health and safety. I also have diplomas in all of these these things, including infection control.
You've got proper standing.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
and he still
rejected you. Yeah.
So now we're reading today in the paper that even the families are now coming out with issues about how Lord Brailsford is dealing with this inquiry. I personally think he should be removed. I don't think he's fit for purpose.
He's not competent. He's not a competent individual to run it.
No, I don't think so. And I believe Roger Livermore has written to Hamza Yousaf today outlining that again, that he, in behalf of NHS ASAP, feel that he's not competent. And Roger, as you know, is an ex-Crown prosecutor, and I certainly do not think that he's competent. But the problem you then have is that it is the First Minister who allocates who the chair is. So by all accounts, are they going to work in line with fairness, transparency? I very much doubt it.
I doubt that, but yeah. But it's possibly that they're deliberately choosing someone not up to snuff in order to be able to manipulate the result of the inquiry.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my view. That is my view in its entirety. And when I took that to Hamza Yousaf as a complaint, he just closed it down. He didn't want to know. Because obviously he knows that it's also myself who has raised the police complaint as well about Nicola Sturgeon and Jane Freeman as being complicit in the deaths of thousands of people. I call it crimes against humanity, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, undoubtedly, I think what they were doing, it's a sort of genocide of the elderly, I think.
The more that I have looked at my police investigation, I am basically really concerned that that's exactly kind of what it was, because even some of the care homes were phoning me up and saying to me, we are getting DNA CPR forms already filled out arriving at the care home. Why are they using particular medications like midazolam, like morphine? Why are they using these? These suppress breathing within the elderly.
Oh, so it just... I mean, I covered that in one of the original videos, and I said that basically it was an end-of-life care. It wasn't any kind of cure.
No, it was an NG163 protocol under NICE guidance that was adopted into an NG191 protocol that was technically used for COVID. I will never understand how the law was superseded by this nonsensical Scottish government guidance. But no matter what you did, you couldn't stop the trajectory of this.
Yeah. Now, after what happened after the evidence? Because it was you put it all in, then you were rejected, but you did get in on a group, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. I met with the group earlier this week, and what I now intend to do is look at what I have submitted to the police, which is vast. I think the police actually called it vast themselves. It's extensive. I think it's something like 75 emails of information, and without touching on that too much because it's the criminal case, it involves DNA CPR, NG protocols, what care homes were saying, the documentation that's been given to me, the care homes, mass distribution of unsafe masks, all of those issues.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to. I'm not going to ask to name names because obviously you can't. But these emails were generated by people who would be known. They are people of influence, people in maybe the pub who the public may have heard of. Some of these.
No, it was more
all internal.
Yes and no, because there's also a lot in that I spoke to all the leading parties' representatives, Ruth Davidson, Willie Rennie, as I've said to you, he was an absolute shining star, Patrick Harvey, all the email trail can be clearly shown.
Right, so they were involved in it. They, even if
Yeah.
they did not respond necessarily, but they were all aware of it, and you've got the proof that they were aware of it because of
Most of
the
them
emails.
most of them actually met me on a Zoom call. So
right. So yeah, there's no denying that. Then they cannot come later and say they didn't know. It wasn't me. I was unaware. You've got them. Yeah.
Willie Rennie, I think, met with me 3, perhaps 4 times,
Mhm.
and him and Jackie Bailey were made very aware about the DNA CPRs and what was really going on. Because you don't expect doctors just to make that decision without families being told it. It's just
no, it's wrong. It's
not
completely wrong.
wrong. It's just so wrong. It's unbelievable. So, that they were aware of that at that meeting. So,
And after everything that's happened, did you make any complaints? And who did you complain to, if you did? Yeah.
Where would you like me to start? I mean,
have I opened a can of worms?
Yeah. Information Commissioner's Office, Scottish Commissioner's Office, Scottish Legal Complaints Commission, Social Services, Scottish Social Services Council, Nursing and Midwifery Council, GMB, Unite, Unison,
Uncle Tom Cobley and all. You were everyone.
Well, I'm at 70 odd complaints, so I felt that no matter where I was going, I was closed down. So the only way to get somewhere, but I ended up getting nowhere, but you've got to carry on. I just continually raised things to the next level. And if anything, if this goes down, as you know, this stuff is on record. They can't deny it.
No, they can't deny it. No.
Right. So further down the line somewhere, people will make a judgment call at this point, and they will look at us as history, obviously.
Yeah.
And how did history deal with this? And I think it will be a very black hole for a lot of people in how they treated the most vulnerable in our society and the care workers who deserved, and the law was there to protect them.
Yeah. And they weren't being protected.
No.
They just weren't.
No.
So you made all these complaints. So what do you think about what's going on right now then with what's happening?
Well,
because obviously you've got the inquiry in England sort of proceeding, but they haven't even started the Scottish inquiry yet properly, have they?
Well, it's never going to really be started properly when they are not. I mean, one of my colleagues also put in for core participant status. He's a medical emergency trainer with vast knowledge about maths, because it was him that drew my attention to the maths in the first place. Maths knowledge of maths. He put in for a core participant as well, and he was also rejected. So it seems to me as if they are rejecting anybody who can actually stand up and tell exactly what was going on. What they want is someone to stand up in the stand and say, oh, lessons need to be learned here. I'm sorry, lessons are never learned.
No,
they don't know what the lesson is to actually learn it. So, I mean,
I think they want complacency. They want people saying that, oh yes, it was terrible, but nothing really could be done. We did the best we could, and it'll move on. Rather than someone coming up and giving evidence, hard evidence, bang, 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 wrong. You were told it was wrong. You carried on. You know, complaints were made. You don't. They don't want that because it makes them look bad.
I mean, throughout COVID, I mean, Jean Freeman herself was trying to stop freedom of information requests.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds incredulous that we're in the worst pandemic in 100 years or so, and yet you've got the health minister trying to stop FOI requests. But I mean, anything that I put in for from FOI, what you'll then find is they will hide behind the due legislation, and there is parts within the legislation that they can hide behind. Or we can't give you it for this reason, we can't give you it for financial reasons. If it costs over £600, we won't be giving you it for that. There is so much that these public bodies can hide behind.
Mm-hmm.
And there lies the problem. And then when you then go to the governing body, they're taking about 18 months to actually come back with any outcome. But what I also found, and I never knew before COVID, was that all the SPSO, Scottish Public Service Ombudsman, can make a judgment on whether the public service has acted proper. But I've actually got no jurisdiction to do anything about it. So again, nobody's.
So they can make the judgment to say that what they're doing is wrong, but they can't enforce that information to be released.
Well, the information can be released, but they have no jurisdiction.
Yeah, so I'm saying whether it's released or not, it isn't their say. All they can say is they should have released it, but they cannot force it to be released. They cannot say to these people, "You must release it now."
Their hands are really tied in what they can do, and I've found that time and time again with the ICO and the Scottish Commissioner's Office as well. And even the Public Service Ombudsman, they are the final body that can actually review what's going on. But you find when you go to them, they can make a judgment, but they can't actually do anything about it. So they can't enforce that judgment.
There's no enforcement, no.
If your parent has died and you have raised it with the health board and they've closed it down, then you've went to appeals process. They've closed it down, as they do. They like to close things down. We're not here to talk about this. They then put it to the SPSO, and they then have no real jurisdiction to do anything about it. All they can say is, "You're naughty. Don't do it again." What you need is some.
They need teeth. They need teeth.
Teeth. And no one in Scotland has got teeth at all.
No. So you mentioned that there was issues with Sturgeon, and then there was a complaint with her or something.
Yes, I mean, because I had obviously raised it with the police, I deemed it imperative that I raised it with ethical standards. Now, ethical standards came back and said to me, "We cannot investigate this because she was First Minister at the time. They can only investigate it if it's a local issue, a local MSP who's done something wrong, and a councillor or whatever. But because she was the First Minister at that point, they couldn't do anything about it." So they then directed me to go back to the Ministerial Code of Conduct. So off I pop and go to the office, the Ministerial Code of Conduct. Hamza Yousaf just closed it down and just said, "Well, she's not First Minister now, so it's not a complaint." So I went back to ethical standards and I put it to them, and they said, "Well, we've no remit to get involved. There is nothing we can do. The only thing that you can now do is raise a complaint about Hamza Yousaf and Nicola Sturgeon to their own political party, the SNP. So you're actually, well, I've done it anyway. Because if you don't do it, nothing happens. So you have to give it a go. So I sat last night and painstakingly done my complaint. They never even responded right enough. But again, they're marking their own homework. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. But if you don't do it,
and at least now you've got it on paper that you have done it. So when it all comes out, you can say, "Well, look, they knew, they were told, they chose not to do anything. They're only digging their own grave, aren't they?"
Yes. Yeah, it's just, there's an awful lot of graves out there to dig, so they're going to be a long, long time, which is dreadfully sad.
Something's just gone ping, and I can't see why. But yeah, so it is basically, it's a bit up in the air at the moment, because you're waiting on, obviously the police are investigating, but you've not heard back from them. You've got any sort of a complaint going through, you've not heard back from those. The inquiry, the London inquiry is ongoing. Have you submitted anything to the London inquiry?
Yeah, it was an issue as well. I put in the same documentation to the UK inquiry, and they came back and refused it because they said that they can only deal with things which are not devolved issues. So because
it was a devolved issue, they won't take on the Scottish issues. They only deal with the England and Wales issues.
Yes.
Or indeed, only the English issues, because Wales, the NHS in Wales is devolved as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, So therefore, where do you go when you have got real evidence? I mean, the police inquiry has shown me that the amount of evidence
Yeah.
that I have put in, the
I
team
mean, is there
actually
is there something you've got? Is there something you've got that you could say that is not in the public domain that people would be, astounded at or shocked at?
Yes, a lot. There's still a lot to come.
There's still a lot to come, right? And it's going to come. It's it's going to be given out in time.
Well, the thing is, I do not want to jeopardise the
No,
criminal case,
no. I
so
get
I
that.
am trying to be extremely diplomatic under the circumstances, and I want there to be a criminal. I want someone held to account for this. I think the more people I read about, the more stories I hear, I feel sick, almost saddened, distressed by what I have went through, but not just me personally.
But
Other
many,
people
many,
that
many people.
many people whose families have been torn apart by a government who are now fully admitting that they did not have a clue how to deal with the pandemic.
Mm.
Now, at some stage, I will go into something that is not in the public domain yet called mayors.
Mm-hmm.
I won't touch on that today because it's quite a long, lengthy
We'll save that
statement.
one. We'll save that one for a specific one-off video just on that. Then we'll save that
Yes.
one.
Um,
Perhaps
so
over the weekend or early next week, perhaps, if
yeah,
that's
that's
comfortable
fine.
with that. Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. So I mean, I think that they can't say they didn't know because they've now been
You've got
presented.
you've got the receipts. You know they know. Yeah.
Well, someone found this document and outlined it to Roger Livermore, who's working for NHS ASAP, and he has presented it. I know that, and it
Which
clearly
document's there? The
outlines
mayor's. This is mayor's, is it?
MERS mayors.
Yeah, Mears. Right. Yeah. Okay. And he's presented that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's out there. Oh, well, we'll look forward to that one then, Leslie.
Yeah.
I'll do that shortly. Do that in the very near future. Thank you anyway for coming on today.
Thank
Is there
you.
anything else that you feel today you'd like to say?
Just everybody out there, keep fighting for what's right. We, keep fighting. I know you will be worn down. I'm absolutely worn down. I've been fighting this case now for 3 years, and we can't walk away. If we walk away now,
They
we
win.
might lose
Yeah.
Scotland forever. And we
Yeah.
can't. We have to challenge these people. They are representatives. We don't represent them. Sadly, these incompetent, self-deeming, omnipotent people represent us. And
Yeah.
most of them are not fit for purpose.
No, I loathe all politicians generally, but there's some that are particularly almost inhuman, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I never believed that something like this could actually happen on my own doorstep to my own
No.
mother and
No.
to other people's parents, families, friends, sons, daughters, because it wasn't just the old. Many people
No,
died.
it wasn't just the old. I know there was a lot of old, but it wasn't exclusively them. No, it was lots. Families torn asunder, basically. Families destroyed. Yeah. Anyway, Leslie, thank you very much for coming on today. I'll make sure that this goes out. And if ever you feel that you're very depressed or you're feeling, oh, does anybody care? Just look at the comments on these videos. They are 100% supportive. Everyone admires what you do. They think you're brave. They think you're wonderful. And so you are very, very much appreciated. So do take solace in that. Okay. Okay. Until we speak next time, thank you very much, Leslie, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Take care.
Right, that's the video. So as ever, always a pleasure to speak to Leslie. She's dropping the hint there that we're going to be talking about Mears next week, or possibly this weekend. It depends when we can get together to do the interview. So keep an eye out for that. As I said at the beginning, do please give this video a like. Do please put a comment down. Support Leslie. I admire her. I appreciate everything she's doing. The conversations we have are, I mean, obviously the bits that are off the record would, be astounding, which is the whole point, I suppose. And as the case progresses, obviously we'll keep you up to date. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and obviously a big thank you, especially to Leslie from me, and via me from all you as well. So yeah, thank you very much for that. We'll keep an eye out for the next Leslie video. We'll put that out, like I say, in the next few days. Until then, thank you very much for watching this one. Thank you very much for paying attention to what's happening, and let's hope we can bring these buggers down. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, keep watching, and good luck and goodbye.